This meeting is being recorded live and is streaming. All representations to council, written or verbal, will form part of the public record and be available to the public for viewing electronically or as a written record. Members of the public may access the meeting or participate in the following ways. 1. Watch the meeting live or recorded. Individuals who wish to watch the meeting may view it on the District of Summerland YouTube channel at youtube.com, District of Summerland, live or recorded. 2. Register in advance to speak during the meeting. Members of the public who wish to provide comment during the public comment opportunities found under items 8 and 15 are asked to register in advance by contacting the corporate officer at corporateofficer@summerland.ca with the following information: your name and civic address, and how you are going to be participating, whether it be by telephone or Zoom. You will be given further details upon registration. The third way to participate is to request to speak during the meeting. Those who have not registered in advance but wish to speak during the public comment opportunities may connect to the meeting by calling the meeting conference line at 778-907-2071 and entering meeting ID 506-489-9374 and passcode 485186. After I have provided everyone who has pre-registered with an opportunity to comment, the floor will be open to those on the conference line. Okay, CAO, where are we putting in the late item?
Looking to Karen here. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Karen, did we have a specific spot for that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. There is a late item, a response to a notice of motion from Councillor Holmes last meeting. So we'd like to put that in under item 12.
Okay.
And it's the Highway 97 pathway.
Okay, my apologies. I was looking at the corporate officer and I said CAO, so my apologies for that. Okay, no other late items, right? Okay, so could I have council bring forward the amended, bring forward adoption of the amended agenda? Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Great. Okay, no minutes or bylaws to speak of, so I'll get right on to the mayor's report. Council has been spending many hours discussing various aspects of the District of Summerland budget and financial plan. Since our last council meetings on January the 11th, we have spent 2.5 days, January the 13th on the operational budget and a proposed 1.65% property tax increase. The afternoon of January 19th on debt and reserves and the impact on the capital budget, and January the 20th on the district's capital budget. The January 20th meeting also looked at our 5-year financial plan, specifically proposed capital expenditures in 2021 and over the next 4 years. A budget open house is scheduled for February the 10th at 4 p.m. Due to COVID, of course, it will be held virtually. I feel it is important for all of council to engage in these meetings, and my thanks to each of you for your insights and discussions during the recent budget sessions. On the evening of January the 13th, I participated in the panel discussion for the launch of the Feminist Campaign School. This event and the courses that form the program have been developed by Nadine Nakagawa, and at least Councillor Holmes here knows Nadine, a sitting new Westminster councillor, and Trudy Goals, who is an advocate, activist, mentor, and workshop facilitator. According to the school's website, the program is intentionally designed to provide knowledge and skills to people who have been historically excluded from civic leadership. It includes training for potential candidates and for campaign managers. Tuesday morning, January the 19th, I spoke at the Penticton Sunrise Rotary Club. My presentation, Building Resilience for the Challenges Ahead, highlighted the district's work in this area, including the asset management plan and our and council's annually allocating funds to reserves, increasing the housing stock, including affordable housing projects, diverting organics from the landfill, and strengthening our relationship with the Syilx people. None of us knows what lies ahead, but careful planning and strategic use of resources will make us better prepared. The overall message is that council's decisions today contribute to a population of healthy and resilient citizens who in turn create a healthy and resilient community. Last Thursday, January the 21st, I attended the first meeting of the South Okanagan-Similkameen Respect Network, SOSRN. The province, through Resilience BC, has created and funded networks throughout BC. Local networks develop a coordinated process for responding to incidents of racism and hate crimes, as well as organize educational events and projects to raise public awareness about the issues and celebrate diversity in our communities. The conversations about racism are part of SOSRN's work. And finally, congratulations to Summerland's Justin Cripps for another excellent showing at the World Cup Championships in Switzerland mid-month. Justin and his team won 2 bronze medals, one each for 2-man and 12-man and 4-man bobsleigh for their efforts. And that is my report for this evening. I will pass it over to our CAO.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll present my report now. I can say that administration has been very busy working to support council's deliberations of the budget for 2021. I'm proud of the work staff have done to prepare the budget, but also their work to find operational savings and efficiencies in the last term and looking forward to this term. This year, teams have shifted work around to keep projects moving forward despite the impacts of COVID-19. And they reviewed things like software licensing to reduce the amount we're spending by tens of thousands of dollars based on current business needs. In a number of areas, staff were also very successful in the submission of grants requests to funding agencies, which have allowed the key initiatives to move forward at a greatly reduced cost to the district. In some cases, innovation has also taken place, such as the council-approved purchase of the Revelstoke Iron Grizzly for the landfill daily cover. This allows us to reduce the amount of cover soil used on the active face, reducing the amount of landfill airspace consumed and extending the life of the landfill. And importantly, it also reduces the amount of operator time spent covering daily garbage at the sanitary landfill. Regarding the landfill, I should note that we are excited to move forward with a new temporary position for the landfill. This position is going to help ensure that the landfill operations regain full compliance with the provincial environmental requirements, that the necessary monitoring and reporting is on time and complete, that our landfill is meeting the high demands of our permit for that facility. One item of note is that the works and infrastructure crews, along with our line crews, took advantage of the mild weather last week to start the installation of the electric vehicle charging stations located across from the Summerland Resort. I'm confident that these stations will be well received by residents and the traveling public alike. Although the weather was mild last week, council will recall that on January 13th, most of southern BC, from the Alberta border to Vancouver Island, experienced an intense windstorm. Power was out to over 100,000 people across the province, mostly due to trees contacting power lines. Although Summerland saw winds over 70 kilometers an hour during this storm, I am glad to report we did not have a single outage. Over the last couple of years, Summerland Council has approved increased brushing budgets to clear power line right-of-ways and to remove dangerous trees in Summerland. These improved brushing management practices have enabled the electric utility to brush more dangerous trees than ever before. Luck does play a part, of course, but I am reminded of that famous Thomas Jefferson quote, "I am a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it." A tree that knocks over a single span of power line will typically cost $10,000 to repair and can quickly increase if power poles need replacement. Further, because Summerland saw no damage, we were able to answer a mutual aid call to the city of Nelson by providing a power line technician and a line truck for 4 days to assist with restoring the power there. And that concludes my report to council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, CAO. Now we have the first of two public comment opportunities. Is there anybody on the line or that has registered, Karen?
There is no public online, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So moving right into the development reports, 9.1, a development variance permit for 7710 Prairie Valley Road, DVP 20-038. And this is for Alex.
Correct. Thank you very much. Good evening, Council. I'll just share my screen here. Give me one moment. The district has received an application for a sign-only variance in order to facilitate the construction of new digital drive-through signage at the Summerland Tim Hortons. The requested variances are to sections 4.9.6 and 4.9.11 of the sign bylaw, which prescribe the maximum number of electronic static changeable copy signs per lot and the minimum change time for electronic static changeable copy signs. The subject property is a commercial lot occupied by a Tim Hortons restaurant. The drive-through is in the rear of the restaurant and wraps around the building to the west where the pickup window is located. The site currently has one pre-menu board sign and one drive-through menu board sign, which serve the existing single-lane drive-through. Both of these are proposed to be removed and replaced. The District of Summerland sign bylaw regulates drive-through signage under section 4.9. The proposed new signs will require 2 variances to this bylaw prior to placement. Section 4.9.6 of the sign bylaw allows for 1 electronic static changeable copy sign per lot. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow 2 electronic static changeable copy signs on the lot. The sign bylaw also restricts change time for electronic changeable copy signs under section 4.9.11. The bylaw limits changes to the complete message to no more than once per minute. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow a message changes to occur once every 8 to 10 seconds. The signs feature an order confirmation display, which populates the order on the screen in real time and results in this request for the 8 to 10 second dwell time. The signs are incidental to the operation of the drive-through and are not readily visible or legible from the street. The signs are oriented to address the existing drive-through lane only and are single-sided. The content proposed will not include any flashing, blinking, intermittent lighting during the transition between messages, and the signs will promote only content directly associated with Tim Hortons restaurants. Staff have recommended approval of the proposed sign variances as they are not anticipated to have any impacts on the character or safety of the surrounding area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, questions, council, for staff? No? Okay, well, that's easy. There's also an opportunity for public comment. I don't know if there is anybody new since I asked you about 6 minutes ago, Karen.
There is no one on the line, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right. So, and has someone come up with a question? Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I just, you know, to me, this seems like kind of a, I don't even know why it's a council decision. This seems like a pretty straight, I don't even know why it's a something we'd even regulate. It seems to be like a business decision to me, how quickly you want your drive-through menu to go around. So, so I'm just wondering what is the purpose for regulating drive-through signage, and is this something we might be able to refer to our Development Improvement Committee?
Brad, do you want to speak to the bylaw?
Yeah, through your worship, thank you for that question, Councillor Holmes. I think, yeah, it's a good comment. The district, I believe, I think 3 or 4 years ago, adopted a new sign bylaw, which provided a lot of provisions for all new signs within the District of Summerland. And to be honest, there is a lot of regulations in there, perhaps more regulations than probably is needed for a municipality the size of the District of Summerland. So if this is something that council wants the Development Process Improvement Committee to review and consider changes, then that would be something I could bring forward to that committee.
Any other questions? Okay, could I have someone bring forward the recommendation, please? Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Would you like me to read it or
Yes.
as?
Yes, please.
All right. That development variance permit DBP 20-038 for property located at 7710 Prairie Valley Road, legally described as Lot A, District Lot 473 ODYD, Plan KAP 52567 to vary the maximum number of electronic static changeable copy signs per lot prescribed in section 4.96 of the sign bylaw number 2013-026 from 1 to 2 be approved. And number 2, the minimum change time for the electronic static changeable copy signs prescribed in section 4.9.11 of the sign bylaw number 2013-026 from once per minute to once per 8 to 10 seconds be approved.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion? Councillor Holmes, you would like this to go forward to the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee?
Yeah, I don't really know what the procedure is for how they review things or whatever, but yeah, I don't know how long the list is or anything like that. So, but sure, this, add it to the list, I guess.
Yeah, well, when it fits onto an agenda, then it'll be there. Councillor Patton, and then Councillor Barkwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think what we should be looking at through our committee is the changeable copy signs for restaurants. I think once we get into changeable copy signs that'll be affecting traffic flow or affecting traffic, I think where the bylaw is really meant to take bite and take hold of. I think that as far as restaurants, whether it be Tim Hortons, A&W, whoever have the menu boards, I really don't think that as our planners have indicated that there's no change to form and character and there's no public safety issues in regards to those signs in a drive-through. But on the other hand, I think we could review changeable copy signs on main arteries. Anyways, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you sit on that committee with me, so we can have that conversation later. Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, it just seems that technology has overtaken our bylaw here. Because I know that there was a committee maybe 10 years ago that studied the whole issue of signs. It was quite controversial about the big issues of what sort of sign is really what sort of signs we would have on the highway. Now, the rules and stuff which are designed for more bright display, which is for the downtown area only, didn't contemplate, I guess, a drive-through, and now maybe there's even more different types of signs to make decisions about, with if there's changeable restaurant signs and stuff. So it might be a bigger issue than the Process Improvement Committee would, bigger than what they might normally deal with. It might, I don't know what'll happen when you get into it, but I can see the issue, and I'd certainly agree with having it reviewed.
Okay, any further discussion on this? I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that variance is carried. Item 9.2, another development variance permit for 5815 Highway 97, Phase 3 of Treffry Place, DVP 20-039. And I think Brad Dulovitz, you're speaking on this.
That's correct, Your Worship. I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay. The district's in receipt of a new development variance permit application, DBP 20-039 for 5815 Highway 97. This is located in the Trout Creek community, just beside Johnson Street and at the corner of Johnson Street and Highway 97, so a fairly visible location. The developer has been proposing and developing a 13-lot residential development for single-family residential homes within the Trout Creek community. And they are seeking to register that subdivision here in the near future to allow the subdivision to be registered with land titles. So, like I said, the developer's been working for a number of years on the development of this subdivision. It's Phase 3 Treffry Place is what it's referred to. The original application for subdivision was applied for in June of 2016. And at the time, in the review of the subdivision and with the issuance of the PLA, proposed lots 12, 13, and 6 were identified as not meeting our minimum lot depth of, at the time, which is still the same requirement of 30 meters. But you probably can't see on this slide, but it was fairly close to 30 meters for lot 12 and lot 13. I think around 28 meters for lot 12 and 29 for lot 13. And then a bit less for lot 6, which was approved with a development variance permit by council shortly thereafter. So after identifying the need for variances for the proposed subdivision to be registered, a development variance permit was issued in 2016 at the district's council meeting of October 24, 2016 for proposed lot 6, 12, and 13. So then the developer went forward with construction of Treffry Place and road improvements and extension of water and sewer servicing in order to facilitate the subdivision. And then following the completion of those upgrades, they completed a formal survey just this past June in 2020, which identified that actually, given the location of the road, that lots 12 and 13 were now meeting the requirements for the RSD1 zone being greater than 30 meters. And but however, lot 5 required a variance now to minimum lot depth, and lot 6 needed a further variance to minimum lot depth than what was originally approved in 2016. And just to kind of zoom in a bit here for proposed lots 5 and 6, the lot 5, the depth that's calculated by the surveyor was 29.3 to the midpoint, and that's where we calculate minimum lot depth. And then also for lot 6, the minimum lot depth was 26.7 meters, which is provided within the the new development variance permit that's being sought for today. So just for council's benefit, there's some site photos here that's attached to the report that identify the existing road and also proposed lots 5 and 6 that are as they currently sit. For public consultation, adjacent landowners have been provided notice of this variance in accordance with our development application procedures bylaw. The district has received no written correspondence. However, we have had a verbal phone call with one adjacent landowner, just seeking more information. Internal referral, we've had no concerns from the fire department. We've had, as well, our works department has indicated that updated as-built record drawings are required to match the new legal survey that's being submitted. And then as well, that prior to the registration of subdivision, staff will need to review the deficiency list from the construction that's been completed to determine what costs are still outstanding. And then with regards to our analysis of the development variance permit, staff note that council has previously supported DVP number 344 for lots 12, 13, and 6 in the past. As well, the additional variance requested for proposed lot 5 is fairly minor in nature. It's only 0.07 meters less than the requirement. And then all of the other proposed lots, as well as all of the other regulations that are required for RSD1 lots, are being met. And therefore, the 13 lots should be able to accommodate the siting of new single-family dwellings within the subdivision without the need for additional variances. So given all of the above there, staff's recommendation is that council authorize the proposed development variance permit. And I do want to note that also the owner's agent, Donna Butler, the planner from ECOR, is also on the line that can respond to any questions. And with that, I can pass it on to any questions.
Ms. Butler, would you like to speak first?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I think Brad has really covered off the variances that we're asking for. Because of the dimensions of the property and the location of the road, there's just a bit of a tightness as you enter the property. There's not much we can do, either have the variance on one side of the road or on the other. And because they're very minor and they're still very good building envelope, I feel these variances have merit. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Good to see you again, by the way.
Yes, nice to see you.
Councillor Traynor, you had your hand up for a question. Thank you.
Yeah, Brad, can we just take a look at lot 6 again? I don't have an issue with lot 5 at all, but that's a pretty significant difference for lot 6. I'm just wondering how the placement of a house there would affect the people that live on Britain. I think Brighton or Britain, it's the street behind. So lot 6 would back onto those lots. So I'm just wondering how close a house would be to those lot lines. Oh, yeah. Could you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Brad, have you started speaking yet?
I think Brad's on mute, hey?
Yeah. Brad, you're still showing as being on mute.
Brad, if you want to just come to my office if you're having a technical difficulty.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there we go.
Thank
There
you.
you are.
I was sharing my screen and I lost you guys there for a second, so I couldn't
Okay.
find my unmute button. So, yeah, sorry about that. I have got up on my screen here proposed lot 6. I don't know if everyone can see that.
We can see it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so thank you for the question, Councillor Carlson.
Trainer.
Sorry, 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 Councillor Trainer.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, it is, given that the lot 6 is winding and curving with the turnaround for the road for Treffy Place, it is a potential for concern given the lot depth on the very far west side of 13 meters. But you know, the area of lot 6 is it does meet our minimum requirement of 460 meters squared. So given that, we think that there's enough building envelope to build a house and it does conform with our RST1 lot. But you make a good point that it is you know, not the most ideal shape for a single family residential lot.
Okay, and I just have one quick follow-up question. You said that you had one phone call from an adjacent neighbor.
Yeah, that's correct.
Can you just maybe comment a little bit more? Did they just have clarification that they needed, or did they have any concerns?
They just had some concern, some information they wanted with regards to the actual variance that was being requested, and they did have some concerns similar to yours. Actually, they back onto proposed lot 4 currently, I believe. So they're this lot 4.
Brad, could I just interrupt you for a moment, please?
Sure.
Other than Brad, could I have everybody mute themselves, please? There's some background noise. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So there was some concern with regards to proposed lot 5 and lot 6 encroaching onto the rear yard space of their setback. But I did indicate to that landowner that if there was an encroachment into their rear yard, that would be a further variance to that specific property that would come before council, and that she could comment on at that point. So that seemed to address her concerns.
Do you have a follow-up question, Councillor Trainer?
I don't think so. No, if Brad feels that a house can go on that lot, it's fine. I was just concerned that because of its awkward shape, that the house would be right up against lot 6 on the other straight, I think it was, and that, you know, it would be really close to the lot line. But that was just a concern I had.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay. Could I ask someone to bring forward the development variance permit recommendation, please? Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I need to find it. Do you want me to read it?
I think it's a good idea to read it, especially when we're in this Zoom configuration.
Sure.
Thank you.
The council authorized the issuance of development variance permit number 20-039 for the subject property 5815 Highway 97, legally described as lot 13 DL 488 ODYD, plan 310, except plans 41476, KAP 91223, and EPP 53591. And that a variance to the following section of zoning bylaw 2000-450 be granted for proposed lot 5 and lot 6. Minimum lot depth, section 10.1.4C, to vary the minimum lot depth from 30 meters to 29.3 meters for proposed lot 5, and from 30 meters to 26.7 meters for proposed lot 6.
Thank you, Councillor Patton. Seconder, Councillor Van Elfen. And any further discussion on this? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimous. Now on to item 10, bylaws for adoption. Zoning bylaw 2000-450, text amendment, fruit stand Z20-014. And is Ariane? No, who's taking this? Is that
Yeah,
Brad?
I'll be able to take it, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Basically, what we're looking for, council's direction today is to adopt the text amendment for the zoning bylaw 2000-450 to allow for a fruit stand within the agricultural zones, the A1 and A2 zone. And Ariane previously presented on this at first reading, as well as at third reading, with regards to the intent is to try to bring our zoning bylaw into conformance with the agricultural land use regulation, with regards to allowing the on-site use of and direct sale of produce and fruit from a farm within the A1 and A2 zones, because previously it wasn't specifically listed, and staff feel that this might have been an oversight in the previous zoning bylaw, and we hope to rectify this issue through the adoption of the fruit stand text amendment bylaw.
Okay, thank you. We've seen this one a few times before. Councillor Holmes.
I'll move it for adoption.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Seconder. Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion? All in favor? And none opposed. Thank you. That carries. And now we're on to the notice of motion, the late item that our corporate officer spoke about. And Chris, I think you were, thank you, Chris.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'll lead in on it, and then Chris will take the reins from there.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So yeah, this comes back to Councillor Holmes' notice of motion last meeting regarding the issue. This, just for familiarity, and it's in the report, this is the Highway 97 Lakeside Pathway, running right along 97 up from that area that is sort of that Summerland RV campground and north up to town. And it stems back to a time when there was an agreement, and it's also attached to the materials, between Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure and the district regarding the installment of the pathways. So for clarity, it's not actually a commuter pathway. It's not classed as a commuter pathway. It's classed as a recreational pathway. And that's important because if it had been a commuter pathway, it would be designed significantly different, with wider and greater separation from motorizing traffic, and to be maintained for year-round use. So obviously there is some interest, I think, in the part of the public to utilize the trail year-round, especially when weather conditions are favorable, as we've seen lately. So we took it upon ourselves to revisit the agreement and see what was within the realm of the possible. And as you'll see in the report, it actually is not impossible to revisit the agreement with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, require an amendment. They would likely acquiesce to that, however, would express significant concern with the use of that pathway year-round, given the snow removal operations that can come upon us this time of year quite quickly. I think yesterday is a good example of that. But also the brine solution and other road treatment that may occur from time to time with little or no notice, and sometimes in the wee hours of the morning, which would require us to take action on our part to close the path, etc. And so although it's not impossible, it remains not advisable on the part of staff to try and make this path more than it is. But with those comments, I will turn it over to Chris to color in the lines a little bit there. Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, CAO. So Council, as noted, the initial permit, when this pathway was designed, one of the items in that permit talks about that the District of Summerland be responsible to ensure the pathway is closed to traffic seasonally during the period when winter maintenance operations can be expected to occur. So that's the section that we dug into a little bit with MOTI, and just wanted to clarify their understanding of the intent. Did this mean that it could be closed periodically throughout the winter season, just when those operations were expected to occur, or was it for the full duration? And their understanding is that it was for the full duration of when those operations may be expected to occur. So as such, we've been closing the pathway from typically in early November until their road sweeping operations commence in March. And so it's closed to the public on either end for about 4 months of the year. So if we were to look at going forward with a year-round opening for this pathway, as our CAO noted, we could work with MOTI to amend the permit. However, the onus would be on the district to then monitor the forecasts or the actual weather to the forecast for any unexpected changes, and to have someone available to either open or close those gates at any time. We'd also need to address and revisit our maintenance standards for the pathway and confirm how we would operate and maintain this during the winter when there may be freeze thaw events occurring off of the highway and runoff or drainage or melt that comes across this pathway and then may freeze throughout the season. Currently right now, when we will open it up once Highways has completed their pressure washing under the no post barriers that are aligned along the side of that pathway. At that point, we can go through and sweep and pick up all the debris that has accumulated over the winter and is blowing underneath the no posts during that operation. So our opening is typically pendant upon that timing, which sometimes can appear to be later in the season. We have gone ahead and swept once the weather was good, and then went back again if those operations were delayed. And we've seen that specifically when AIM took over from the previous road maintenance contractor. Their timing of that pressure washing underneath the no posts was somewhat later than what it was previously. So we ended up going and opening the pathway and cleaning it, and then coming back again to have to close it for a short period of time to clean it again once that happened. So as our CEO noted, it's not impossible, but there is significant potential costs and liability or risk put on the district if we were to look to undertake that. But again, something that could be investigated further if council wished to pursue it. With that, I'll turn it over to council for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on the report and the reasons why? Councillor Barkwell?
It just seems funny that when it's closed, all the cyclists go on the highway, which is even more dangerous. So there's some sort of irony or something there that it can't be operated through the winter. So I see all the concerns that were being raised and made me wonder, well, what if it wasn't even a pathway? What if it was just the shoulder of the road and people used it as at their own risk? It certainly would be safer than being along the shoulder of the road, either side of it as it is now, which is where you're going to see people during that period. Is that like too far outside the box?
I guess
Do you have a,
yeah,
sorry.
if I could comment. So I guess the difference with this is that MOTI sees this as a district pathway within their right of way. And so that's where the onus is put to the district for the liability and the maintenance and operations of it. You're correct. Commuter cyclists specifically, they wouldn't use this pathway ever. They would just stay on the shoulder of the road as they do north and south of this section. That being said, recreational users, if they so chose to during these months, if the weather was nice, could use it. We're not going to police it and kick people off of it per se, but it would not be opened and promoted as a year-round trail the way it is now. Like we would be maintaining it the way we do now with it being closed, encouraging people not to use it, but if they chose to, if they felt that was safer, they could always do so. But the difference is, yeah, it's not it's not seen as highway infrastructure, it's seen as district infrastructure within the highway right of way.
Graham, did you want to comment on that as well?
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Chris identified exactly what I was going to raise.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Could I have someone bring forward a resolution, please? Councillor Holmes.
I would suggest that we don't pass a resolution at all. If we're just keeping the status quo, I don't know why we need a resolution just to keep things the way they are. The way the staff recommendation is, I don't think I would support that myself, because as Councillor Barkwell said, it does seem a bit absurd that, you know, we have these recreational pathways where they don't have 24/7 coverage. It starts to snow and it starts to snow, and you know, and people see that and thinks, well, you could easily just go close that gate, you know, once it starts snowing. So, but I understand the hassle involved. I understand dealing with MOD would be an uphill battle. So I get all that. I appreciate why there's reluctance on staff to go down this road, but it's just one of those things that it's the way government works. So I would recommend no resolution at all.
Okay, so Councillor Holmes, you're the one that brought forward the notice of motion at our last meeting. I want to check in with our corporate officer, and given that, you know, the resolution is just to maintain the status quo, do we still need a motion, or can we just not have one at all?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would suggest the resolution could be that you receive the information, or sorry, receive the report for information.
Okay, good.
I would move that.
Okay, seconder? Councillor Patton? Any further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Great. Thank you. And thank you for that reminder, staff. We've had that question before, but now we've been reminded. So thank you for that, and for the work that you put into getting the staff report prepared. Okay, on to 13.1 correspondence, I think. Yes, there are several pieces of correspondence there. Anyone want to bring any of those forward? Okay, could I have somebody receive correspondence for information, please? Councillors Van Alphen and Trainer, all in favor? Great. And then back to you, corporate officer. Is there anybody interested in making a comment tonight?
There is no one on the line, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I've jumped ahead a little bit. We need our councillor reports first, and I will start tonight with Councillor Patton.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank staff and our CAO in our budget process last week. I thought that it went very well, and I look forward to the open house. And other than that, I have nothing else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Barkwell.
Nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing to report at this time. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
I too have nothing to report.
Councillor Holmes.
Nothing to report.
And Councillor Trainer.
Okay, well, I do have something to report.
Okay.
Okay, so as the council liaison, I have an update from the Friends of the Ornamental, the Summerland Friends of the Ornamental Gardens that I wanted to share with council. So I spoke with the group's chair, who's Bonnie Fulton, and after almost a year of being closed, she is hopeful that the gardens will be able to open in April. The group has met with staff from the Summerland Research and Development Center, and they are okay with reopening as long as the group submits a COVID-19 safety plan. The group has agreed not to hold any events at the gardens until BC's emergency status has been lifted by the province. Bonnie says the group must still submit a formal request to Ottawa, but she's hoping that everything will be okay. And a couple other things to mention, the Friends of the Gardens host 2 annual plant sales each year. These events are their biggest fundraisers. But because they can't host any events, they are hoping to host their spring sale in the arena parking lot the first weekend of May, and they would use a layout similar to the Summerland Farmers Market. But again, this all depends on what's going to happen over the next few months with COVID. And Bonnie has been in touch with our Director of Recreation Services, Lori, to talk about a possible plan. As with many local nonprofits, COVID-19 has hit the Friends of the Gardens hard. They are particularly worried that their memberships are down. So if you would like to help out the gardens, you can easily go online and sign up for a membership at summerlandgardens.org. It's $25 for an individual or $40 for a family, and it's tax deductible. There is a vacancy on the FOG board as well. And so if you know anybody who likes to garden or who likes to be outside, please let them know. And finally, Bonnie wanted me to thank the District of Summerland for our ongoing support of the gardens, particularly through the grant and aids that we've been providing to them for the last couple of years. And finally, this is something separate. On Saturday, neighbors down in Trout Creek got together for, well, we didn't get together, but we organized a COVID-safe, physically distanced Trout Creek community cleanup. We hadn't had one in over a year, and the garbage was getting really bad, especially along areas that we normally focus on, including Thornburg, Arkell, and the Mary and James Gartrell Trail. Most of the garbage that we picked up was wrappers and cups, liquor bottles and cans, and a lot of junk that flies off vehicles that travel through our community. Neighbors all participated in their own bubbles and were assigned to different areas to pick up garbage. Afterwards, Dave Gartrell and I, in separate trucks, we went around and we collected all the garbage and piled it up for the district to pick up this morning. In total, we collected about 30 bags of trash, plus a TV that was tossed into the bushes along the trail, tires, buckets, and lots of scrap metal. I wanted to thank all of those who came out to help. This was our 15th cleanup. And again, thank you to the district for hauling away all the garbage. And that's my report.
Thank you. I saved the best for last, didn't I? And I didn't even realize I was doing that. Excellent. So one final check-in with you, corporate officer.
There is no one on the line, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So I will call for adjournment. Councillor Carlson and Councillor Van Alphen, all in favor? Excellent, thank you. Short and sweet.